So what I'm calling about right now is we're going to talk about what happened yesterday, and then we're going to get a refund on everything, and then you're going to pay for our tow truck, because if you don't, I'm going to the news here, and I'm finding a lawyer as fast as I can.
Wow, those are some powerful words by Jeremy Dewitte. Thanks for watching PoliceTube. Now, what is he referring to here? It sounds like there's been a major wrong done to Jeremy Dewitte, but you might be surprised to find out that he's calling about the Chicago tow truck incident. You know what happens when Jeremy makes a mistake, right? He blames others.
At no point in time does it say that we weren't allowed to park where we were parking. At no point in time does it say that we were violating a rule.
Now, if you follow my channel, you know that's ridiculous, because I got a text message out of Jeremy's phone that says right here, "Hi, Jeremy, so sorry to reach out again. The landlord of this building has informed our team that there's a car parked in a residential space, and they warn him that he's going to be towed if he doesn't move it." Of course, he doesn't care about the signs. He doesn't read the text. He doesn't care about the text. He deals with all this later with threats. Now, just a little background info. He got the money to go to Chicago from a loan from his landlord, Tony, who was trying to help him out. And he went to Chicago to buy an ambulance for his business with Michael Breen, the personal injury attorney. He went to Chicago with Rania, and I believe they drove the ambulance home. But anyway, this video is about his phone call to the company afterward to complain and try to get his money back and get a refund and tell them that they're the ones that are at fault for where he parked. So anyway, let's go ahead and listen in on his complaint call to that company. And as always, make sure you hit like, subscribe, comment down below, read the description, and have a good day. Jeremy actually waited on hold, so he's probably rehearsing in his head right now what he's going to say, but I wanted to listen in with him. That way we can all experience this full thing together. Okay, here we go.
I'm a manager.
Okay, just be advised, I'm on my phone with my business phone, so this call is being recorded.
All right, sir.
So my name's Jeremy Dewitte, but you already know that because you have our phone system in our phone number in your system. So,
yes.
Okay, great. So what I'm calling about right now is we're going to talk about what happened yesterday, and then we're going to get a refund on everything, and then you're going to pay for our tow truck, because if you don't, I'm going to the news here, and I'm finding a lawyer as fast as I can. At no point in time does it say that we weren't allowed to park where we were parking. At no point in time does it say that we were violating a rule.
Now let me pause it right there for a second, because if we look at the body camera footage from Chicago, you see these signs all over the place up here. Now watch this.
Ma'am.
Cop turns around, and now here's another sign right here. Watch this.
He's
He's going to need his ID.
You can see up there it says illegally parked vehicles, unauthorized vehicles will be towed at owner's expense. And Jeremy's parked basically right in front of that sign. Here's another scene, same video, just as he pulls into the parking lot. Look at this. Here's a sign posted, same thing right there on the gate. Here's another angle right here. Jeremy's parked right in front of the sign.
Yes, I can. At no point in time does it say that we weren't allowed to park where we were parking. At no point in time does it say that we were violating a rule. And then on top of that, one of your security officers and a woman showed up and made my wife, while she was in her sleeping clothes, leave the house with all of her bags. So we need to figure out something quick, and we need to go from there, because I can promise you, in your policies and procedures and what you email us and you sent to us, I've already contacted a lawyer here in the Chicago area. It says very clearly that we can have free parking on the road. On your email, it says free parking. So there's nowhere on those spots that say reserved parking. There's nowhere on those spots that say resident parking only. There's nowhere at that anywhere, shape, or form. What it says is the people in the building of that address are legally allowed to park there. And that's exactly what the police officers also advised me on scene when they showed up. So I have a guy showing up to take our vehicle, which is not ours. We're not from Chicago. Right. We don't know this area. It's a rental vehicle. He shows up to steal our vehicle because it's an unmarked tow truck, so we don't even know what it is. It's just a black vehicle with a hook on it. So he's trying to take our car. He gets out with a weapon, a long screwdriver, and he's waving it at us. So from the 6th floor, what am I supposed to do? Jump down to get the truck to get away? So we're trying to run down the stairs, so we throw a chair to make him back away from our truck so he'll leave. So then by the time I get downstairs, he's already gone. So he leaves, and now we're calling the tow truck company. The tow truck company dispatcher tells us a little girl that lives in that building called and said we were parked there illegally. So then we're calling you guys over and over. We're texting you. There's an emergency. Somebody needs to call us immediately. Nobody does. You guys amazingly answered the phone every time you needed to take my credit card or take my payment. But when there was an emergency, by the way, we have in the text, there's an emergency at the apartment with the time and date stamped, begging for help. Nobody responded at all. Nobody still has responded to that text until today when I'm calling you now. So even though you guys know what the situation is, my wife has the phone, nobody responded at any time, shape, or form. So, but what you guys did do was come while my wife's in her sleeping clothes and kick her out of the apartment, because you guys didn't any way, shape, or form let us know that we weren't allowed to park there. We're parking at the building that we're renting. So I don't understand where we violated policy, because that's what they advised my wife, that we violated policy and we were getting kicked out. So we're going to fix those problems, hopefully together, because my next step is truly to call the news in the area, write bad reviews. I know that doesn't matter to you. You're just the manager. I get that. But then I'm going to file some kind of suit with an attorney, because as you know, I was arrested yesterday for throwing a chair because a guy's there to steal my vehicle, and we don't know who he is. That's neither here nor there. The cops even dropped it all the way down to arguing in public, because it was bullshit to begin with. And he pulled a weapon.
Long screwdriver, orange handle.
He pulled a screwdriver and was holding it at my wife, which is on your cameras. Please make sure those cameras are available, because when we get the detective and the lawsuit, we're going to need that information.
Come on!
Hold on one second for me. Okay, so that's where we're at right now. And I'm a little confused how, again, when we call for help and we ask for help, nobody's responding. Nobody called us or said to us, hey, you guys are parked illegally. If you don't move, they're going to tow you. Nothing like that. So tell me what we need to do and how we can move forward, because the girl already said that she was going to refund the one night that you guys were kicking my wife out in the street. By the way, I want you to know I'm going to push that really hard with the channel news around here, that you pushed my wife in her sleeping clothes with a man in the apartment, whether he's a security officer or not, a man in the apartment with my Muslim wife while she's in her sleeping clothes and her tits practically hanging out. He refuses to leave the apartment, stands in the apartment, forces her to pack her bags, and then you guys put her out on the street, and she's walking down the street in her sleeping clothes in flip-flops with 8 bags. So I promise you I will push that with the news, and I promise you I will push the fact that we are Muslim, and I will push that to the extent. So I just want you to take that into consideration and talk to whoever you need to talk to get that worked out. But I don't know what you want to do from this point forward, but we're definitely going to want the compensation of the tow truck, the rooms, and then I don't know, because I'm going to have to come back to court to fight the fact that I was trying to save my vehicle, which was legally parked at the facility that I was renting. But see, here's the thing. The cops took me because they couldn't talk to anyone from your agency. We called over and over. We text over and over. Even the police officer took the phone number and called. By the way, that's all on officers' body cameras. So we were attempting repeatedly to get a hold of somebody, texting back to that number where you said, if there's any problems, just give us a text. We'll call you right back. Yeah, we text over and over. There was an emergency. Nobody called back. That's on the police body cameras. I just want you to remember that. So we can pull that footage where we're begging for help because the officers clearly said, because the sergeant showed up on scene, that they would let me go due to a misunderstanding if we could just get a hold of the apartment complex and have them verify that we were legally allowed to rent that facility, because they didn't even know it was an Airbnb. And even the officers said that they has to be registered. So they were a little confused because they didn't believe it was an Airbnb. They thought we were just parking there illegally. So anyways, I don't know how else to explain this or express this, but that's where we're at right now.
Well, I appreciate you telling us all this. I'm guessing there's a lot of nuances that were maybe missed or misinterpreted. So to have something actually, like the full story from start to finish is going to help us out a lot in coming up with a decision here. Not a decision in terms of like what to do, but the compensation and, the next steps to follow. I do see here that you were refunded the last night. Is that correct? Is that what you were mentioning?
That's what she advised my wife, but I couldn't answer that question at this point in time. But I would assume if she said that, then yes.
Okay, I'm just going to look into that for you just 1 second. Just want to make sure that everything is in order here. Okay, so I see that the refund has not gone through yet. Let's see. Alright, Jeremy, what I'm going to do here is obviously I have to get in touch with the people on the ground because this is the guest experience line and I don't have the same information that they do. But what I can do is I can make a report of what you just said. I'm going to process the one refund that they mentioned, and I'm going to look into further compensation for you. But obviously, I do have to get in touch with my team and figure out, what happened. How did this miscommunication even happen between us? I get the frustration. I do see here your text saying that we need we have an emergency department need call now.
Right.
So I do see that in my system. There's no need for a body camera or anything like that. I have it here. So I'm gonna just see what happened here because I don't see how it can go from we have an emergency to the next SMS that we send. You need to leave your location right now.
Right.
So obviously something took place there. Yeah. So let me just get in touch with everybody. I'm gonna just pass along all the information that you gave because that's to be transparent. That's the most that I can do right now. It's not on me to determine what happened because I wasn't there. So I need to speak to the people that were on the ground in Chicago, and then I can get back to you if that's all right.
Okay, that's good. One of the things that she did say was, she did say to my wife that it was illegal to have guns on the property or something like that. But we don't have any guns. Oh, no, she asked if we had any guns. Okay.
And that was insulting by
She said, did we have any guns? And that was one of the reasons they were kicking us out. We flew here from Florida, so of course we don't have any firearms. So we were a little confused about that question. So, I hear you, and I understand what you're saying, and that's fine. I'm I'm going to give it a couple hours. I hope I hear back from you soon. The tow truck fee, you might want to write this down, was $250, plus the Uber to get there, which was $30. I'm not going to charge you. I'm not going to argue the point about the lawyer that I'm going to have to hire because I was defending my vehicle that was legally parked. We'll get to that point some other time. But I can, you know, the $250 plus the $30 for the Uber and everything, that would be great, plus the other night. Because if I don't hear back from you in a couple hours, and I'm not threatening, I'm just trying to talk because we have the proof. We have officers' body cameras and the footage from the hotel, which I'm sure the detectives will be coming to look for. So, because if I can't hear back from you guys in a little bit, I'm just going to dispute the charges on my credit card, and then I'm calling Booking.com, and then we're writing reviews and all kinds of stuff. So we're going to get, because I'm only in Chicago for a few more hours for the rest of this day. So I mean, my next step is to call the news and and explain everything to them, because again, I cannot imagine how kicking a woman out with no vehicle, no knowledge of the city, in her underwear is an acceptable policy for estate rental. I don't care. I don't care any situation. I don't care if I was shooting people in the lobby that my wife wasn't involved. So I don't understand where throwing her out in her underwear in barefoot, then she had to put flip-flops on, is an acceptable policy for your company. So, but you know,
I completely, I hear what you're saying.
Right.
I'm not taking this, like you mentioned, it's not a threat. You're just trying to get your side across, which is completely understandable. Obviously, some things took place here that we both weren't on the same page. Yourself. So I'm just gonna get in touch with them, see what what we have here. Maybe there's some discrepancies. I believe there might be, and after that I can come back to you with the next steps or anything of that nature. But right now I just don't.
So there it is, proof. If you want to give me a
good.
call, let me know whatever you're thinking. Numbers on the screen.
Have a good day.
Does Jeremy ever take responsibility for anything? Call me. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching PoliceTube, and as always, have yourself a great day.